You know, I've got to have like the single worst ideas for when it's appropriate to start recording because I swear to God, I need to just not do stuff on work days. I need to do what every other YouTuber does when they do this kind of stuff, where I just record a bunch of stuff over the course of like the weekend after I'm done streaming. So that way I have like a month's worth of uploads ready to go and not do my weird thing where I go week by week or day by day. So that way I'm not, recording at 11:30 at night when I have work the following morning, and I'm gonna have to go to bed almost immediately after I finish recording this, and then wake up and scramble to edit everything together and then post it before I go to work. But you know what? That's my life. Hello, welcome to my hectic Friday, where by the time you see this, I have probably barely been awake and have just managed to get to work because I am insane and I have the worst timing possible because I wasted like 2 hours playing a goddamn Beyblade video game that I bought the night prior because I am a dingus, a dork, a autistic funny weirdo, and my current hyperfixation is the new Beyblade stuff, which I'm 27. I'm an adult. I have a day job. I get paid. And I spend my money on funny spinning tops that could probably cause serious hand injury due to how fast these ones spin. Anyway, hi, welcome to the funny moments of autistic hyperfixations, and welcome back to this what is going to somehow still be a bit of a series of videos of Bricky's new Warhammer Factions Explained video. This is part 2. I posted part 1 previous Tuesday as of when this video gets posted because it's a 2-hour behemoth of a video, and my yaponomics is a bit too strong for its own good, so let's not waste time. As usual, support Bricky. Video will be linked down below. If I remember to do it, I think I'm gonna need to... Yeah, no, I'll remember to do it. I'm not that dumb. So, video link down below. Go watch it. Go support Bricky. He deserves it. Like, comment, subscribe, all that stuff. Do that to Bricky first, though, because he made the video and he's letting me react to it. He already called me out in the primer part of the video, so that's all fine and go. Anyway, let's actually get to the factions proper. The fun stuff, yeah? Okay, let's go. There, and this time I don't have to worry about any funny business, so... First faction, because now we're going in, frickin'... I mean, we talked about the Necrons a little bit, so now we're just going in chronological order. Okay, Bricky, re-inform me about the Necrons. Maybe there's some new stuff that I didn't know about before he has to say now. Anyway.
As mentioned before, the Necron tier were the original form of the Necrons, an alien race far away from us that lived short, painful lives due to the irradiation of their star.
No wonder they're so angry about everything.
Normally this would manifest as like a sort of cancer, a space cancer of sorts. The Necrons are very much inspired by the ancient Egyptian aesthetic, but unlike the windswept dunes commonly associated with it, the irradiated hellscape the Necrons here endured was far from picturesque.
I mean, yeah? Like, I mean, anyone who's played a Fallout game... No, Fallout's pretty picturesque despite the, irradiated wasteland post-nuclear war thing, so... I guess we can imagine a hellscape. Maybe something like the Glowing Sea in Fallout 4? I don't know.
This also translates into their hierarchy. They are a race of nobles and peasants. Most
Ah, yes, a good old caste system. Love those.
of the peasants would often live for their very short amount of time, only a couple of decades, while the nobles tended to have better care and would live a little bit longer, but still far less than the average lifespan of a human, even today in the 21st century.
Man, that's gotta suck. That's gotta suck, man. Your planet sucks so bad you only live a few decades on average. At best, if you're lucky. I mean, hey, now they have freaky metal skeleton bodies and they're basically immortal, so... worth it? I mean, maybe not considering it cost them their souls, so debatable.
The leader of the Necrons was Seiker, the Silent King. He was the
Drip King.
one who took the deal with the Catan and the Deceiver. Of course, he wasn't aware of the fact that they were known as the Deceiver at the time.
If they do that, they kind of... I should turn on the closed captions for anyone else. Anyway, let's see what the auto-gen does. But, yeah, if a god called the Deceiver will most definitely not tell you that's his shtick the first couple of times you talk to him, I guess.
but the whole species was blinded by hate after being debased by the old ones on their quest to cure their illness.
Considering what hate can do to a person, it makes sense that, like, maybe you wouldn't care and you just want payback. Consequences be damned. I mean, me when I'm reaping versus me when I'm sowing, as is the meme.
The sheer pain that underwent the Necron race can't be understated, as their fear was manic. The Catan are, of course, gods that eat stars, and when the leader of your species tells you to march into the gigantic green furnaces to ascend to immortality, you march. The scenes from these are long lines of both the peasantry and nobles clutching their loved ones in a frantic act to save their own lives. Many of them already inflicted in the late stages of the space cancer, some of them crawling in.
Damn. Yeah, no, like, I'm sitting here imaging that, and that's like, yeah, that's, that's something.
To the biotransference furnaces, trying to outrace death itself, without realizing death was the one who made these to begin with.
Yeah. Hey, let's go to immortality and become crazy, undying death robots. Oh no, it cost us our souls, so we're basically dead anyway. Ah, fuck. Oh no. Oh no, the consequences of my actions. How could I know we were tricked?
Came out the other side was a soulless husk. And I say that literally. A soul is not an abstract concept like it is in our world, an immaterial version of oneself discussed and debated in religion and philosophy. No, in Warhammer, a soul is a real, tangible item of oneself. And the Catan basically were just like two.
Yes. I mean, when you think about it from the Necron perspective, too, that also makes their entire existence just kind of suck ass. Like, imagine you've become a soulless husk, and if you're one of I mean, like, I guess if you're one of the Necrons who doesn't really have any sense of individuality left, you're kind of good. But if you're the ones who do, like, you can remember a time when you were mortal and you had a soul, and now you're just this copy, I guess is the way to put it. Like, they're soulless husks. Like, the souls were, munch by the Catan, meaning they're not really the people they were when they went into the furnaces anymore. They're copies of what they used to be, who remembers what they were without really being what they used to be. At least that's the way I look at it. I could be taking this a complete wrong way. Correct me in the comments if anyone sees this video enough to actually comment and correct me on where I could be wrong in my interpretations of Warhammer 40k lore. Anyway.
Every single person who went in their furnaces. If you were a peasant, you came out a Necron warrior, and you as an individual have ceased to be. You have.
Okay, no, so I was kind of right. Okay, no, I was right. Yeah, no, because I remember some lore. So, yeah, no, if you were just average normal person, that's it. You're done. You've become a mindless drone.
No mind, you have no soul, and your body, as you know it, is made of an extremely advanced mass of...
Dog hitting... God damn it, Bricky, the vine booms. Why? No, I know why, because I know why.
Re-knitting living metal known as necrodermis. You cannot think for yourself, for you do not have a brain to think with. All you do now is await protocols from your overlords, which are the nobles who came out of the furnaces with their minds intact. Not their souls, mind you, but their minds are very much intact. These nobles now have command protocols.
Okay, so yeah, with the nobility at least, like, they still have their mind, but the soul is gone, so I guess you couldn't really say they'd be a copy then. They'd just be the intelligence, the mind, but the soul isn't there anymore. They are just... No, that probably would count as being more of a replica then, yeah? I could just be talking out my ass. Anyway.
And they are able to command all of their peasantry and do with them whatever they wish. Zarek, the Silent King, is the most advanced of all the Necrons, a perfect metallic version of himself with incredible power and intelligence.
And clearly, the drip, look at this man.
His strength allowed him to lead the undead and the unthinking armies of the Necrons to battle against the Catan when they were at their weakest due to their incessant infighting, and then win back their freedom.
I mean, hey, if you're going to take any opportunity to win back your race's freedom, even if now you're just mostly, like, in the grand majority, empty metal husks who are only commanded by a select few, you take the chance. And then, shove them into giant pyramids and basically turn them into Pokemon. That's my favorite joke, actually, with the Necrons of, like, yeah, we took these star-eating gods and made them Pokemon. What up?
But gods cannot die.
Oh, hey, speaking of.
So in reality, what occurred is the Catan were shattered into thousands of pieces, and each shard of their god was trapped in a stasis vault and mind controlled to do the bidding of the Necrons they once enslaved. The biggest challenge they face now are actually the upstarts of the galaxy.
Oh, yeah. Yep, now the Necrons are the old farts telling people to get off their lawn.
The Eldar and the Orcs were quite prominent, and as you can imagine, a galactic war really takes its toll on the joints, or I guess the servos. It was in their best interest.
Yeah. So in that case, consign yourself to the Tomb Worlds. Go to sleep. And then be really fucking cranky when people keep waking you up.
To wait out the galactic rise of the other races and come back at a more opportune time. So they went into stasis via these massive tomb complexes hidden beneath various worlds.
That reminds me, I wonder if it's going to come up in like some future Space Marine 2 stuff. Because one of the worlds you go to in Space Marine 2 is a goddamn Necron tomb world. And I pray that in future content, because Saber is still updating that, and I need to play more again. I pray that in like a DLC or something, or Space Marine 3, because they talked about they're developing Space Marine 3, please give us Necrons. Make do on the hint that was in Space Marine 2. Give us these motherfucker robots. Give us the Space Terminators, please. We want to fight Necrons. Anyway.
Biding their time until it was once again their opportunity to rule the galaxy. Zarek, the Silent King, as penance for his failure to his people.
I like how the auto subs get the phonetic pronunciation of Zarek right, but that's not how it's spelled. I think it's like Xerak.
Exiled himself into the darkness between stars for the next 60 million years.
God, just straight into the void, huh? Just chilling in the void, I guess. I mean, if there's any place you're going to wait out 60 million years for when you're an undying immortal zombie robot, the void sounds like a pretty good place to be chilling. Until the Nids show up, that is. But,
With his perfect memory, a constant reminder of the doom he inflicted upon his people. Flash forward to the modern day, and the Necrons are reawakening. But it isn't working as well as it could be. Whether the tomb world is reawakened naturally or by some imperial moron stepping on a green glowing rock.
That happens a lot.
The Necrons have come back to reclaim a galaxy they consider rightly theirs. But 60 million years of hypersleep have taken their toll. Many Necron dynasties awake with systems unrestored and huge swaths of their population's minds completely lost. Necron nobles wake with various mental faculties compromised, sometimes exhibiting traits similar to excessive paranoia, schizophrenia, or even dementia.
Being asleep for 60 million goddamn years and not having any maintenance be performed would do that. It would leave you with problems. And I mean, hey, what's a grimdark universe without having a problem just crop up the moment your race starts doing literally anything that could be of help to you? Nah. That would be too easy. No, of course, everyone's got to have problems.
One notable Necron, Nemesaur Zandrak, believes that he is still back on his home planet fighting off separatists and interlopers.
Oh no.
Oberyn, the separatists come, attempting to outflank me as they did at the 4th Battle of Vindach. How they calculate that daubing themselves green and roaring like savages will produce a different outcome, I cannot fathom. But it is of no account. Ready, my legions. Another glorious victory shall soon be ours.
Motherfucker ran into the orcs and thought they were somehow rebel. Man, like, yeah, no, man, straight up schizo at that point. Oh no, no, he's just straight up dementia ridden. Oh no, he's a dementia ridden war veteran. Oh no.
Other individuals, such as the esteemed Imatech Stormlord, seek to usurp the newly returned Silent King for rightful ruler over the Necron race.
Yeah, because what's a 40k faction without a little bit of civil war? You know, it gotta have a little bit of interfaction civil war sprinkled in there. How else are you going to justify the fact that you can have players using the same faction in the war game table, right? Gotta justify it. Gotta justify it somehow.
Believing his time has come to an end, while scientists and archaeologists like Trazen the Infinite and Orikin the Diviner spend thousands of years bickering over artifacts and petty squabbles.
I have been informed by many a video that apparently the Infinite and Divine book is really good, and I should probably read it. But I also have just have a shelf full of light novels and manga I really should read, but then again, I don't know. Maybe I'll start. No, if I'm already collecting those, collecting Warhammer books is just going to be another problem, isn't it? Oh, man.
Truly the...
Also, joke about getting collected into Trazen's Infinite Museum. He's going to collect everybody like Pokemon.
Necrons are a faction of unthinkable, unimaginable power, held back entirely by their own hubris and 60 million years of stasis. It is a species that does not know of time, only of the ravages brought by it. A pharaoh of a dynasty may just be as frightened to awake completely mad as they are to be assassinated while they sleep.
Oh yeah, that's from that other Warhammer short. I forgot what that's from. I think that's one of the things on the Warhammer Plus site, which I'm not going to bother with. But I mean, hey, getting to see a salamander be a badass is fun.
Of years pass in an instant. There is a play, like an opera play, a retelling of the War in Heaven in the Necron culture that takes 40 years to witness, because why leave? You have no need to.
Yeah, no, you know what? That's a fair idea, actually. Like, if you're an immortal being who has all the time in the universe, and you don't need, I mean, like you just said, you don't need to eat, you don't need to sleep, why bother making anything that's gonna not take too long? Why not make a play that takes 40 years to get through? No one's going anywhere.
To eat or vacate your bowels, you are immortal, but you are soulless. Despite the Necrons' incredible technology, their mastery over time, reality itself, despite all of this, they still are missing a soul. And therein lies the biggest struggle. Most Necrons look to conquest the galaxy, kill the interlopers like the humans, Eldar, and orcs that scrape at a fraction of their power. But the end goal for many, including Zarek himself, is to return the souls to their bodies, to undo the horrible fate he cast upon them. This is not the interest of all. Many simply wish to rule their dynasty with an iron fist and kill all they consider unworthy.
Fair enough. Okay. That gets me thinking, though, like, I mean, if your entire goal is to try and return souls to your now soulless people, when most of those souls got munched on by the Catan, is that even gonna work? Is that even possible at this point? I don't know. Especially when you got some people among the dynasties who are just, you know, like Bricky said, assholes who just want to conquer the galaxy and say fuck it. Quite the dilemma. Quite the dilemma.
But to many others is to undo the decision that doomed them all. Before they can do that, there is a pest that needs exterminating. That is the mental understanding of the Necron.
Yeah. Yeah, no. What? Oh, God, what does a Necron and Tyranid conflict look like? Gee, bus. And was that Bricky also hinting at what faction we're talking about next? I don't know. We'll see in like a minute or two.
They are so hyper advanced that their science borders on magic. They play with the fundamental aspects of reality and time. Their mastery of the physical galaxy is the strongest in the universe. Their weapons reduce people to the barest molecules, and they have devices capable of causing stars to supernova. They are unfathomably difficult to kill, as if you do fell one of their number, the living metal reknits itself, and the reanimation protocols allow it to come back alive once again.
Yeah, I think there's a reason why we nicknamed them the Terminators, dog. You just can't get rid of them. And then they just keep coming.
They're masters of teleportation, and often killing a Necron fully will just have its consciousness translocated back to their tomb world to await reassembly. Normally, they utilize large phalanxes of...
Yeah, no, how are you going to get rid of something that can just re-upload itself into a new body like 10 minutes later and just wait for it to be done being made? God. Yeah, no, you're not going to get rid of these guys, dude.
Warriors and honorary combats, but some of them have fallen to various mind viruses. The destroyer cults are hell-bent on killing anything and everyone that lives with an overwhelming force. And then there's the flayed ones. Necrons cursed with I have no mouth and I must scream, a panic attack virus as the last lap.
Right, oh jeez, I actually did forget about the flayed ones. Good lord,
Of Landogo, the Flayer Catan. Slowly losing their minds, they strip apart their foes and adorn their bodies with the skin of their enemies, trying to better return to their old feelings of flesh and blood.
Yeah, no, just look at the art of that, though. Just, creepy Skello Robo just wearing moving on.
Necrons are a degraded version of their mighty empire, and still one of the biggest threats.
Funny that the image of the Space Marine getting blasted apart is an Ultramarine. Gotta dunk on the Gilliman's boys every now and again, you know?
Threats in the galaxy. The only thing keeping them at bay currently is their awakening sickness and their infighting with no care to the timeline. But they are coming. And slowly, they plan to rid this galaxy of the vermin that inhabit it. My people shackled the stars and broke mortality when the species you sprang from had barely left the slime pools it spawned in. Our wars burned reality, and the dominion of our kings is without limit. The ground you tread on is not yours, it is ours. The war in heaven...
God, I love it whenever Bricky pulls out a quote. God, that goes hard, though.
Was a catastrophic time for the galaxy, and as stated in the above quote, burned reality. Of course, souls exist in Warhammer, and in the case of the Necron tier, they were consumed by the star gods. This begs the question, however, if you were to pass on, expire, as one might put it, where would your soul go? The answer to this is the warp. In Warhammer, a soul is real.
Oh, we're probably going to get to talk about Chaos next then, yeah? Yeah, because if we're going chronologically, then Chaos would understandably be after the Necrons. Oh boy, here we go.
And so is Hell, the afterlife, the Empyrean, the Sea of...
Dude, I'm going to suck at this impression, but it's from, like, one of Bravo Alpha Boost's real-life plays when they did that other crazy-ass war game. Where's hell, boys, I'd like to order. I can't do the line. It's not even the right line. I can't even do the voice right, but still.
Of souls, the Immaterium. All of these names refer to the dimension parallel to our own, known as the warp. Now, the warp is not like our reality. It does not follow the classic normalcy of time and space. It is defined as the Sea of Souls, and it acts like this in a more literal way than you can realize. To imagine the warp is to imagine the sea itself. Hell is real, and you can surf on it.
I love the continued joke every time we go hell is real. It's just a city in Ohio. It's just a city in Ohio, and it always will be. Hold on, I want to see what that image. Hell is real, and you can... It's an orc, of course. Of course it's an orc. Yeah, an orc would. An orc would surf around on the warp.
It has a current and can become more dangerous depending on where you go and how bad the weather is. As the Immaterium is a reflection of our reality and of our souls, all thought...
Yeah, like, why do you think warp storms are a thing that happens? It's when the warp gets all kinds of fucking crazy and just literally becomes a storm. And then there's the Eye of Terror. Oh no.
All emotions, all feeling that goes with a soul is passed on into the warp. If an entire planet decides it's going to engage in a blood-fueled rampage of murder and gore, then the warp...
Blood for the blood god! Yeah, basically that. Basically that. Just a mass cult on the planet declares blood for the blood god goes mad. Bricky, please explain.
Around that planet will be affected in a similar manner. It's not something that you can see. It is a parallel, not perpendicular dimension. But it is changing. To expose oneself to the warp for any period of time invites certain death outside of the most iron-willed of individuals. And
yeah, basically being a Seiker in 40k means that you tap into the warp, but also means that you basically become a potential gate for demons. This is why that if a Space Marine is watching a Seiker, they are liable to just execute the fuck out of them the moment they seem even slightly tainted by the warp, because better to do that than take their gut and just take the risk of a demon popping out of their goddamn skin. Which is kind of what happens in Space Marine 2, actually, when you think about it.
To stare into it will drive one mad. Much like the open seas, things dwell in the warp. Whether these beings were always there and were just emboldened by the carnage of the galaxy, we can only speculate at. At a time, you could say it was more calm. But I
mean, going by the rules of the warp, it's because they don't care about timeline and causality. Basically, it means these things always existed, but also didn't exist until they were made to exist, but then always existed anyway. I'm looking at you, Slaanesh. Anyway.
Certain factions' galactic war in heaven didn't do it any favors.
Yeah, like, again, as it got commented on the War of Heaven, the last one, imagine a war so catastrophic it scorches a parallel plane of reality, and then it has so many people who die, it just kind of shoves trillions of souls into the sea of ab-reality and causality. That's not gonna go well. That's gonna fuck up a lot of things, and now it's why hell is real.
Now the warp is turbulent, and its realms belong to a pantheon of gods known simply as
Yep, Chaos is next. Or, you know, to make the joke from Emperor had its execution device, Coas. Call it Coas. Get around the Imperium censors, god damn it.
Beings that serve directly under their patron deity. There are 4 current gods of chaos at the moment: Khorne, Tzeentch, Nurgle, and Slaanesh. Each of them
sticking to their color themes too. That's nice.
Represent various facets of and emotions of sentient species and play a game against one another for total control over their realms. Interestingly,
and they're all dickheads.
Enough, while their disciples have physical forms we can understand, the Chaos Gods do not have a physical visual that you can perceive in reality. So while there are tons of fantastic fan art, we do not know what they truly look like, though they are conveniently color-coded.
Yep. Convenient color coding to make sure you have an idea of what they should look like, and, you know, their followers tend to give impressions. Though I think most people go off the interpretation of like you saw it in the video. Hold up, let's dial back a bit so I can point it out in the list. I think it's like, yeah, okay, so you can see it like in this corner right here, where you can see like Khorne, Tzeentch. This one I remember, the Tzeentch one right here, it's going to be really small in the video, I think. But like you can see me circle. I remember that one. They used that in they used these 3 at least in text-to-speech device. I forget which one. Yeah, no, they use like this one for Khorne, and they use these 3 for the other Chaos Gods and text-to-speech device. So, hey, you know, that's fun.
Color-coded. Khorne is the god of blood and murder.
Blood for the blood god.
Carnage and slaughter. He is the one who is
skulls for the skull throne. I have to say it every time Khorne comes up. I just have to. It's my curse.
Most power by the wholesale killing of any living thing. For Khorne cares not from where the blood flows. With a sacred
only that the blood is flowing.
Number of 8, he is the lord of all things involving killing and blood and gore. The champions are extremely strong as well,
and also very, very angry. I mean, just look at Necron. His name is literally based on anger. There's also a reason why Chaos Marine Berserkers are called Coordinate Berserkers. Being a follower of Khorne just means you're generally kind of permanently pissed off all the time.
monumental muscles, and extremely large weapons. A true analog to Khorne would be his greater demon, the Bloodthirster, an enormous, muscle-bound flying devil with an axe so tanks in a single swing.
Again, okay. I always gotta admit, the Chaos Demons have such awesome designs, man. Like, they look so terrifyingly cool. And then you just got this guy down here. Let's turn this off. Sorry. Then you just got this guy down here trying his best with a holy sword and shit. Like, yeah, I'm a fight the Satan analog. Fuck it. Probably gonna die though. Let's be totally honest.
Into battle with armor of brass adorned by the skulls of their
Oh yeah, no, that's Warhammer Fantasy. Yep.
And pools of freshly spilt blood. This may appear to be quite frightening, of course. Demonic, one might say. But in the world of chaos, all emotions feed one of these gods in one way or another. If you were to define...
Yeah, okay, so I'll let Bricky talk about it, but there's actually a really fun episode of TTS where Magnus and Kitten are having a discussion about chaos and the gods, and well, along with the Emperor. And they do discuss this facet of it, where, like, the Chaos Gods are generally dickheads. Like I said, they generally represent the more negative emotions, because those are the ones amplified mostly, because, let's be real, if suddenly the Realm of Souls becomes a swirling chaos mess, the negative is going to be amplified more than the positive. So, you know how it goes.
Khorne with single words, you would use blood, carnage, murder, skulls. But you'd be missing out on important ones. Strength, honor, prowess, courage, and skill. Khorne is basically a very direct deity when it comes to the Chaos Gods. Basically, yeah, you can be sure that Khorne's not going to trick you, and that when he comes at you with a chain axe, it's going to be directly to your face, not to your spine. So, well, I mean, it would probably be to your spine, but at least it would be from the front, not the back, unlike Tzeentch. Not just about the wholesale slaughter of people. He is about the honor and power of martial combat. The true strength there is in besting someone in physical strength and skill. Of course, a murderer would be someone who would feed Khorne, but a soldier could feed Khorne. A martial artist or professional fighter could feed Khorne. A warrior, good or bad, feeds Khorne.
Yeah, if only, you know, like I said, if only the negative wasn't, accentuated to the point that the Chaos Gods in general are just dicks. You know, if only the negative weren't such a prominent thing in the warp, maybe they'd be kind of cool. But nah, we're not that lucky.
A diplomat does not. A premier soldier does. A GoFundMe does not. This is what leads many mortals down the path of Khorne. For he will bless those that bring him enough skulls. And in a world this destructive...
Skulls for the Skull Throne.
There are many ways to reap a high tally for him. Prepare the dread claws and unchain the mad ones. Glorious battle awaits us today. For the world below has refused to surrender. Let us descend upon them with fury and rage, giving no quarter and sparing only those warriors who fight well enough to earn a place amongst us. As to the rest, their lives and possessions are ours, but their skulls are for Khorne.
Loot everything else, but the skulls are for the Skull Throne!
Normally, if I ever want to explain Khorne, I just kind of show him this clip.
I'd never stab you in the back, Shepard. Warriors like you and me, straight to the face.
Yeah, that's exactly what I said, basically. No, I won't stab you in the back. I'll stab you in the face.
Moving on, Tzeentch.
Yeah, this is the main thing. See, I'm so used to TTS where this, like, general idea of Tzeentch is, like, kind of bit crushed to hell to look funkier. I think this is, like, the clearest I've ever seen this interpretation of Tzeentch. And God, yeah, no. That's, not enough feathers, though. Not enough burb. Not enough feathers and burb for Tzeentch.
Is the second god, the god of trickery and mischief, the changer of ways, the great conspirator, and
also stagnation, and basically the reason why the setting is just Eternal War, because what's more fitting than having plans that you never execute on, because that would demand that things actually change, ironically enough.
Architect of fate. With a sacred number of 9, Tzeentch is truly the god of change in all of its forms, but there is an obvious undercurrent of mischief and cunning. Tzeentch is such a liar that his pants have gone thermonuclear. Where the f is it? His favorite
What? What was that? Well, what? Wait, what? What? Okay, so he hooked up an electrode to his ass and... Why did you... Okay, wait. What was this man trying to do? What?
His favorite pastime is asking
Anyway,
questions that have no answers while simultaneously making up answers on the spot to a question he didn't ask.
Have you ever had a dream that you had you could want him to do you so much you could do anything?
Yeah, the kid had the spirit. Kid had the spirit. He just couldn't find the words.
He is such a conniving little bastard.
Okay. Oh, that reminds me of another TTS bit, because so like there's a couple of episodes where they make a joke out of like incorrectly playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And in one of them, Kitten duels Zinch. And like Zinch's entire bit during the video, during that short, is like just dancing around questions, answering questions with another question, saying answers to questions that nobody had actually asked about to begin with, or doing weird esoteric shit and also cheating out of his ass. But that, I mean, it's a Chaos God. What do you think he's gonna do?
That every emotion of lying, of scheming, of trickery is a direct way to help feed him. An unfaithful partner, a politician, a spy. All these people feed Zinch in one way or another, and it doesn't matter if the intentions are good. Acceptance does not feed Zinch. Change does. Zinch doesn't care about your facts. He only wants opinions. Because he represents change, he also represents hope, though. Schemes are not always bad.
Yeah, in a very ironic way. And again, I'm just gonna shut up and let Bricky talk.
And even the hope to make a better tomorrow is the change he seeks. Because he is the architect of fate and the mastery of sorcery, his presence is purely unknowable. Every depiction of a Zinchian demon contains more eyes than are necessary and more mouths than I know what to do with.
Yeah, I mean, look at eyes out the wazoo and way too many mouths, which, no, keep any body part away from that.
It is a biblically accurate angel if the angel gaslit you into thinking birds are government drones.
Okay, that's a good one.
But are they?
God damn it, Bricky. I mean, to be fair, out of all the government conspiracies, birds are fake and are spy drones is one of the funniest. Though there's no proof of it, but it is really funny. But it is interesting that if you take the more positive interpretation of Zinch, you get something that represents not just scheming, but like hope for change and a better tomorrow, and like using wittery and trickery to get your way through the bad times to something better. Again, as I will repeat the point, a shame then that everything else means that Zinch is primarily kind of a dick. On to repeat the point.
Creatures at his disposal adorn themselves with the knowledge of sorceries and the unknown, all to provide...
And this is why he's the patron of Magnus.
A mind-crushing experience. Fighting demons from outside of our reality is difficult enough, but fighting demons from unreality, purposely attempting to trick you, is a whole new thing entirely. And that is before we even get started.
It's really funny than the fact, considering we have a Lord of Change on the foot. Yeah, hey, guys. Remember how we fought a Lord of Change in Space Marine 2 and somehow survived? We have an explanation. Zinch let it happen. Why did we survive fighting Lord of Change when, canonically speaking in lore, we just get roasted instantly? Zinch let it happen. Because it fit some esoteric plan, which can be described as Zinch thought it would be funny. Anyway, that's just kind of... Literally, like, if we had to give a phrase to a Chaos God, Cord is, I'll stab you in the face, not the back. Zinch is, we do a little trolling. We'll get to the other two in a minute.
On the gigantic bird of sorcery you're going to need to face. Do not ask which creature screams in the night. Do not question who waits for you in the shadow. It is my cry that wakes you in the night, and my body that crouches in the shadow. I am Zinch, and you are the puppet that dances to my tune. Third of the Chaos Gods is the one of acceptance.
Yeah. The Rot. Grandpa Nurgle, everybody.
Rot and pestilence, the grandfather himself, Papa Nurgle.
Yeah.
Is the exact
Oh god, I forgot how gross Nurglite stuff is. Jesus.
of Tzeentch, where Tzeentch believes
I mean, honestly, if you're watching a 40k video, you kind of know what you're getting into, but I am gonna say, warning, I'm glad I'm past the half-hour mark already, because YouTube would be really mad if this was early in the video. Let's keep going!
believes in change and hope for a future. Nurgle believes in stagnation and the end of everything. At one point or another, we will all decay. We will all rot, and we will all end. And with a sacred number of 7, every single thing, pestilence, boil, and everything in between, comes under the great shadow and girth of Nurgle himself.
Yep, and that's why he's the grandpa. You know, I would make a joke about inopportune pausing moments, but we're talking about Nurgle. Any pause I can make is just going to be a bad moment to pause.
For Nurgle, the plight of mortals is his fear and wine. And no matter how solid life might be, everything will decay in the end. In the creation of life, there must be an end to that life. And nobody has more creations to end lives than Grandfather Nurgle himself. Every moment, every pus-filled wound and disease, every rot.
Yeah, you keep listening, Bridget. I'm not putting any of that on the editor.
And every plague is kept and
yeah, you keep listening, Bridget. I'm not putting any of that on screen.
By Nurgle. This, humorously, keeps Nurgle as a jovial god. He is full of life and laughter, and by creating as many diseases as he possibly can, he shares that joy with mortals. I mean,
a shame that the joy takes the form of, this. This, the Great Unclean One, as he is called, which I think the name Great Unclean One alone should tell you enough about what the hell his deal is and what it's like. It's like, God, no wonder the Death Guard are so fucking tanky.
His envoy is the Great Unclean One. And look at how happy he is. And there's a lot of him to love.
I beg to differ, Bricker. God. There are so many phobias that the Nurglites trip. It's actually not pleasant, like, at all. I'm glad I don't have any phobias, but I am a little bit squeamish, and Nurgle just... no, just nah. God, let's keep this going before I barf.
A fear of death in general is feeding Nurgle. All disease makes him stronger, but to pray for salvation for a wounded loved one is to feed Nurgle. The timeless and inevitable fear that one day you will rot and decay is what gives him strength. The Peloton won't feed Nurgle. Licking the doorknob on a public bathroom certainly does.
Please don't do that. Don't do that. Don't. Please. Please don't do that. Whatever you do.
However, should you embrace your grandfather's gifts, you may find an
especially if it's a gas station bathroom anyway.
End to your pain. Maybe. All mortal followers of the Chaos Gods found themselves there in one way or another, either through the direct worship or the slow corrupting of their souls.
Yeah, that, oh god.
But those that take...
again, I need to keep going. I'm just gonna let Bricky talk about Nurgle before I feel the gag reflex kicking in. That's how bad I am with Nurgle.
Nurgle's gifts and embrace the decay of their bodies may end up being chosen among his few as a faithful servant. In doing so, you may be free of the pain caused by Nurgle's ailments, and you may even find yourself just as jovial and happy as he is. Maybe. His enemy...
Maybe! Yeah, a big fat maybe. Instead, you might just become a howling pain demon who spreads pus and decay and plague wherever you fucking go. Can you tell that Nurgle is my least favorite of the Chaos Gods? purely based on the gross out factor alone. Makes me cringe so hard I lost tracking. Oh god.
Enemies shall wither and die. His allies shall wither and die. The universe and all within it
Shall wither and die.
And when the great corruption has settled over the land and permeated the very foundations of reality itself, then shall the Lord of all rise from the rot and ruin, spread his arms wide to reclaim all of his dutiful children.
Yeah, literally all Nurgle has to do is wait. Eventually, everything will be under his banner. Eventually. He just has to wait.
Those were the three major chaos gods for a very long time, emboldened by war and death on a galactic scale. Ever present, but now fact on the suffering of a galaxy.
Oh yeah.
For a while, was able to elude the pull of chaos, an advanced race of
Oh, god damn it. Psychically eating my pizza.
attuned aliens whose master over the physical world was so strong that chaos could not glean from them the morsels of power they once had. Or so they couldn't. Not for a long while. 60 million years ago in
Yeah, okay, Slaanesh Black story time. I'm gonna say a phrase. Keep in mind the phrase, murder fucked. That is why Slaanesh exists. Keep in mind, this is how bad the Eldar done fucked up.
an attempt
They done fucked up so bad, they made a new Chaos God. This is why I will never forgive them.
to combat the Necrons and Catan, the old ones made a new species. One with innate power in the warp and the ability to harness it with a mastery that was unseen by so many others. A mastery so powerful, the Necrons retreated to sleep in order to wait it out.
I mean, hey, gotta admit, they do have a cool aesthetic, though I'm not the biggest fan of Eldar helmets, not gonna... Excuse me. Not gonna lie, I'm not the biggest fan of Eldar helmets. I think they're a little bit too silly. But then again, I also like Space Marines, and sometimes Space Marine helmets get absurdly silly, so hey, I'm just a hypocrite.
It was no longer a galaxy to be ruled by them, but instead begin the age of the...
Oh. So we're not talking about Slaanesh, then. You know what? No, we'll probably talk about Slaanesh. Yeah, okay, you know what? That's actually fine, then. That's actually perfect. Again, I don't want to keep the video going too long. So, that concludes part 2, and now we're at least almost 40 minutes into this main video. So, hey, that's actually good. We at least got through 2 factions. We got through the Necrons, and we got through Chaos. Next time, the Eldar, and whatever comes after, and of course, probably discussion on Slaanesh too, so we'll get there when we get there. So, see y'all next time on the Tuesday, and I'll probably just finish recording this over the weekend, so that way I have it done and in the back pocket. And until the next time, God, I need to get to bed. Till then.